Welcome to the Queer Witch Project, your resource for all things queer and witchy. I am Damona Peacock, a fabulous, non binary, neurodivergent, ordained queerdo with a hyperfixation for symbolism, cycles, and patterns.
And I'm MoonKittee, a queer femme poly kitchen witch and proud geek. Today's topic is Queer Kitchen Witchery, Summer Edition.
You already called yourself a kitchen witch, so I wonder who's going to be answering questions this time. So my
Well, yes,
moon.
throwing it out there. And again, quick kitchen witchery, it's such a broad topic. It's something that's kind of all over the place. What does it mean? There's so much stuff for it. And I do
Okay,
call
so
myself that because it probably is the most closely identifying to how I look at magic.
and just why the subtitle Summer Edition? Do tell.
Well, as we were doing this, I had a kind of thought that because of the nature of I follow a lot of the seasons. I follow the cycle of the year, the wheel of the year, and summer edition because we are launching this in the middle of the summertime. So there is differences that I do in the summertime than I would do in the winter. So there it affects my practice because the days are longer. I can go out into the summer sun for longer than I can in the winter. As kitchen witchery, you can imagine it deals sometimes with food, and there are different foods that are available in the summer versus the winter or the fall or the spring for that matter. So thought it might be kind of fun that if over the course of this podcast we have different versions of kitchen witchery. So you can kind of see the difference between the different seasons and how that plays out, at least in my practice. Again, your mileage may vary. Everyone does this slightly differently, but it's kind of fun to talk about.
I love this because if there's any of our listeners who identify as a kitchen witch themselves, they get to see
Please.
how somebody else approaches these,
Yes.
or have some like, oh yeah, I do that too, like validating moments, or be inspired by ideas that they hadn't thought of before. And for those who don't identify with kitchen witchery, I hope it's like gets them inspired to maybe dabble some toes in because I feel like it's accessible to everybody. You don't have to identify that way to still like kind of dip your toes in that pool of magic, so to speak.
And absolutely. And I can't wait to hear the comments and suggestions, what people have and how they do kitchen witchery in their own practice. But yeah, to me, it's the easiest way to start. It truly is because you don't need a bunch of crystals. You don't need a bunch of tarot cards. I mean, I have both of those, don't get me wrong, but you don't need all of that stuff to get started with the idea of kitchen witchery and kitchen magic. It's really literally what do you have right now? What are you doing to nourish your body? What are you doing to bring out the magical properties that are aligned in food or cleaning your space? Cleaning your house, that spring cleaning can be a magical thing when you kind of declutter and let it all go. And that's kitchen witchery. That's literally that kind of aspect of taking these pieces of yourself and turning them into something different.
So, speaking of pieces of yourself, why is it important for us to acknowledge our queerness in our practice?
Because our queerness is part of who we are. It's just as much a part of us as our hands and our feet and our hair and our eye color or anything else. We can sometimes modify and change things, but it's still fundamentally a part of who we are. I am queer. I know that I am queer in my heart and my soul. And we all know that conversion therapy is not something that works, and you can't pray the gay away or
Born this
anything
way.
else.
I'm the one to be known to use like songs and quotes apparently, but like born this way,
Yes.
baby.
Exactly. This is who I am. So why would I hide or keep back a part of myself in my magical practice? Because in magical practices, we're talking about authenticity, and you can't manifest something if you are holding yourself back because you're not acknowledging that whole aspect of yourself. Now, I am not saying I don't have flaws or anything else that's with me. And I have dark sides, I have shadow work that I am constantly working through. But being a kitchen witch helps me process through the good things and the emotions. Or when I'm having a bad day, it helps me get that stuff out in a healthy way that, to me, makes a lot of sense.
So then queerness, kitchen witchery. How do you marry those two? How do you see both of those doing magic together?
It's really about intention when it comes down to everything. Because if I'm just making dinner, I'm not necessarily infusing that dinner with magical properties. But there are times when I am. So it's really about intention and what you're trying to do for how to make it a practice aspect. So it could be again stirring a sauce pot. I was very lucky that my grandmother, when I was very young, taught me to make sauce, and it's something that I still do every at least once a month because we go through about maybe once every month and a half. We go through a batch of sauce, and it's really about taking the love and that feel and that worshiping of my ancestors and all of that and learning that knowledge and putting it into practice that comes through. And that can be in little different ways. So to me, there is that connection in kitchen witchery to my grandmother every time that I make sauce. But it could be a matter of maybe there is a favorite family recipe that your mom made, or your grandmother, or your grandfather, or someone else. Or maybe it's just you go out and you smell the campfire smoke because you used to go camping every year as a child, and that has that kind of sensory connection to you. All those kinds of things kind of play back into that feeling and evoking emotion, evoking a magic, evoking a kind of manifestation of something else. So you're making something bigger, not just feeling the sensory bits of that moment. And again, it's perfectly okay to not do that. You don't have to be magic all the time. But it's really just about taking those times and setting the intention about what you're going to do.
I'm sitting here imagining that you put all this love and intention into this kitchen magic.
Hmm.
And then what do you do with that? You're feeding it. First of all, hold on. First of all, as a person takes that in, like what that food is doing for their body, what's the intention for that food to do for their body? And then also, second question, sorry to make you answer two at the same time, but like, and who are like, who are you feeding this to and why?
That's the whole
I mean,
shadow
and I know
light.
it's like kitchen witchery isn't all food related, but like
No.
on the topic of food, like
Right. Well,
who
you have had some of my cooking before. Um, so there
I
is that.
remember your gatherings.
Exactly. So me, I love that aspect of sharing and celebration. So when I am cooking and intentionally focusing for kitchen witch aspects of cooking, specifically in this case, I really do think about who it is I am cooking for. And it can be a lot of different things. One of my favorite things is when I say I like to cook is I like to make dishes that are unique or for the person that they're with. So when I would have celebrations, I love people with food allergies. I love having people who have challenges because now it is a puzzle that I can find to make something nourishing and fulfilling that tastes good and adds that kind of magical energy and zest of myself that comes into it into something that's going to work for someone else. And to me there is that it's my way of giving back love, of my way of sharing love to the world is through that aspect of cooking. Now I am not a chef, and you'll see later I had put together a fruit salad recipe that we'll kind of go through, and there will be a TikTok of ultimately of me prepping and chopping and putting this all together so you can actually see the process of how I did this. Now my knife cuts are not the greatest. Um, and everything else about that. But to me, that doesn't matter because there's little pieces, there's big pieces, there's aspects of it. I'm imperfect, and it's okay for that aspect of myself to be imperfect to come out in my food because it still becomes out perfectly balanced for the right thing, for the right energy. So
I love
imperfection can lead to perfection in this case. It's about mindfulness. And again, there are days when I'm having a really crappy day, and sometimes maybe that's manifests in, okay, I know that I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm down, I can't do this. But what is something that's nourishing and warmth that kind of heals my soul? And this is something as simple as, you know what? Top Ramen has a existing connection to me. And if I'm just tired and I don't want anything else, I know that I can make something in 4 minutes that's warm, that fills the space in my stomach and still has a connection to my past and my history, that helps feed that soul portion, that helps me then move into something bigger and something better.
I'm over here imagining like all of the college people in their dorms making their top and like hmm, fond of memories.
Right,
There
top
was
ramen is magic.
yeah, that's that like if you got to feed yourself and you're short on everything, focus, time, money.
Exactly. And if you don't have the energy to put together a sandwich, eat the eat the ingredients individually. There is nothing that says you have to put it all together. So just eat what you can, do what you can to feed yourself in that nourishment in that moment.
I really appreciate the neurodivergent accommodations over here. Yes, deconstructed sandwiches are a magic of their own.
Yes, they are.
And then some people make it really fancy and call it like charcuterie or something.
Yes. Exactly. All you need, a handful of crackers, some cheese,
Right?
and
To me,
maybe a meat or meat byproduct, or not byproduct, but a meat substitute of some sort, something protein based and filling, and you got a charcuterie board.
yes. Okay, so we were talking about your gatherings and
Hmm.
your feeding people, and I feel like this also ties back into queerness in the sense
Yes.
that for so many of us,
Hmm.
we build our chosen family.
Yes.
And what do we do in the summertime with the chosen family? Backyard barbecues. How many times have I harassed you for not actually firing up a barbecue for your backyard gathering? But, barbecue, fun gatherings, getting the kids in the yard playing and
Hmm.
all the aunties and uncles and uncles and Edie's and
I know for being a fireside, I actually like the barbecue very little anymore these days. But no, it's because I do all the prep work ahead of
times the
time.
barbecues will come again.
There will be time, yes. It doesn't help that right now I have a partner who's not a huge meat eater. So barbecue really to me feels like it should be steak and all the good grilled stuff and so it's like
Fair,
okay, I can do
but
that
I'm a
often.
sucker for a good grilled corn.
Mm-hmm.
It's corn.
Yes, no, I will probably do more grilled vegetables down the road. But no, um, we touched on this in other previous episodes with chosen family being so important because there are so many times where our biofam may not understand or actively works to suppress either our queerness or our witchiness, our magical energy, all of those kinds of things. And it can be very, very difficult when you know that you are different, however that different plays out, to be in a household where you are not understood and really truly not understood, like why does this mean the thing it does to you, and you can't explain because it's just again part of who you are. That's that queerness aspect to it. And so finding your chosen family when you get out there and you're going to school, and a lot of high schools now will have gay straight alliances or whatever the newer version of it. That's what it was in my day. But there are different types of communities and aspects, LGBTQIA associations that you can have access to that helps. And then as you are able to be out of a household, when you can finally leave that household that is holding you back. And I know it's not as easy as just saying leave because there are so many things that happen with sometimes family and time and money and pressure and all those kinds of things. But when you are able to finally escape that kind of environment, there are so many amazing people in the queer community that you find those connections, you find those people that you want to be around, that understand your weirdness or your queerness or your geekness in my case, and all of that, and just want to appreciate and celebrate that with you. You find your people, you truly do find your people in so many ways. And to me, that idea of finding my people comes with celebrating that. And that's where having the people that I care about over for backyard barbecues or parties or just a chance to come together as a community, there's just that really interesting energetic energy. Okay, bad choice of words. I totally get that. But there's this energetic connection that kind of builds when you have a lot of people, a lot of queer people, especially together in the same room, that you can feel the energy kind of start ramping up. And it's really fun to take that energy and then just turn it into something else, whether it's turning it into the power of cooking or it's turning it into the power of, okay, we're going to make this difference. We're going to go on this march or we're going to go sign petitions against anti-trans legislation and all these other kinds of things that you can then take that energy and manifest it into something else. Gatherings really, to me, is almost that same aspect that falls under kitchen witchery, because yes, you can have formal rituals which are designed to build energy, and there are some amazing formal rituals that are designed to build energy that then can be put into a focus and a locus and go out. But for me, kitchen witchery almost has that informal gathering of energy, and then having the energy to be able to then harvest and use and push in to the earth for a garden or into a home for a home blessing. All of those things helps make your own sacred space a little bit more beautiful, a little bit cleaner in the magical essence aspect, in the sense that it doesn't necessarily have to be physically clean, but it feels healthy energetically. So you don't walk in. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt the bad vibes immediately? And it's like, whoo, no, there's some bad juju happening in here.
Well, and in my aged wisdom, I also learned to just walk right back on out of those situations. Yeah,
Exactly. We can.
but on the flip side of that, I've walked into, you know, beloved's homes
Hmm.
during one of these magical gatherings, and just been like, "Oh," like, "I've missed you all so much." And, like,
Yes.
there are these people that have felt like siblings to me for more than a decade of my life. I never would have known the
Hmm.
community that could be built. And you when everybody's, and particularly these last 3 years, everybody's kind of spread out to their own little
Hmm.
pods. Um, and those little coming together moments, and you look around and you're like, gosh, there really is a web of life or a tapestry that we have all woven together that's
Hmm.
like just the most beautiful thing. Like really uplifts and connects and you were talking about like this energy exchange,
Hmm.
like this energy cycle, which also comes back to what food is,
Hmm.
because it's literally providing energy to your body. So if you're imbibing this magical, intentionally set meals with friends and chosen family, you are given the energy that it, made to create it. You are then given that gift
Hmm.
to digest it and ingest it and incorporate it into yourself and then go out into the world and just make something happen,
Yes.
either for yourself or for the greater community, the greater good, But yeah, it's just it is an energy exchange and it's magical. That is what magic is to me,
Hmm.
you
And I know we're talking a lot about food on this aspect because, but to me, summer is food. Summer has that connection with food. So that's why when we're talking about kitchen witchery, that's a lot of why food is coming out on this one. Whereas spring, I have a feeling it'd be more like spring cleaning and cleaning spaces and that kind of stuff. But to me, summer is about food. It is about the celebration. It is about stepping out pride. It is all of these things that come together and sharing that.
The harvest
Yes.
or the harvest months. You get your fresh fruits and veggies, go to the fruit stands, grow them yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's harvest season, and that
There's,
we celebrate those,
mm-hmm. And I know we celebrate some harvest in the fall, because that's traditionally, but there's a different, like I said, there's a different kind of harvest that happens in the fall. That's the harvest and storing for winter kind of prep.
Yeah.
Whereas summer harvests are about freshness. It's all the fresh fruits and
Strawberry.
vegetables, strawberries and peaches and nectarines and
Oh, my fruit.
so many cool things, and farmers markets that are going because there's so many fresh new things that are happening in your area. And again, I say this knowing that we are both in California.
Fair,
So we
fair.
are very blessed in that we are in a state that has a ridiculous agricultural aspect. You may not think of California and agriculture, but actually that's still our number one economy, and it's we provide food to a good portion of the world. So there's still, for all that we are a number of different things, we are Hollywood, we are tech, we are all those kinds of things. We still have a core root of agriculture in there, and to me, being a California girl, that still kind of ties back into kitchen witchery because it's still that underlying aspect of where we come from and that food that we put in that allows us to go and do something else instead. My great grandmother ran a farm, and there's a whole lot of other things that kind of go through there. So I know that kind of comes through my blood. But it's also just that you can't create unless you have the energy to do so. And whatever practice you're doing, that's how you get there, to me, in my own path. And again, your mileage may vary. Everyone does things slightly differently. Some people are very much more ritualistic. But for me, what makes the most sense are the elements and the aspects of how earth, air, fire, and water, and that combination of those kinds of things play into our daily lives. How we see the fire that cooks the water, that then feeds the grain of the pasta from the earth, and how all of those elements and things play together into that aspect of kitchen witchery.
And the aromas that you smell before you even taste the food.
Yes.
And when your ability to smell goes away, you ability to taste the food goes away. That was always so frustrating when you get sick. We're here in the summer. We're having some pride celebrations. We're having some rituals. We got some fresh ingredients.
Hmm.
What are you serving this summer?
I called it my MoonKittie's magical fruit salad or summer salad. And I kind of went through and I looked up and I was kind of doing research on the different magical properties of fruit. And there are some amazing websites that you can research and you can go through and just everything you need to know pretty much if you are a beginning witch is on the website or on the internet at some point in time. There's so many access to resources, all of these kinds of cool things. And
Thank you, Mercury, for Google.
oh, I know, right? Google can be your friend. Now, again, not everything on the internet is true, but as a way to start your search, it is absolutely the best way to kind of learn about things and learn about where you're going. So I kind of was, as I'm putting together my own magical grimoire and my own book of shadows for again different phrasing, old style phrasing on that, but putting together my own kind of group of things where I'm looking at magical properties of different herbs and vegetables and fruit and stones and all those kinds of things. I kind of was looking at different types of fruit because again, we're summertime, summer fruits, all of that plays together. So my magical solstice salad or my magical summer salad, um, I wanted to make sure that I incorporated the rainbow because again, we are queer, we are pride, we have rainbow aspects to all of it. So as I was going through, I wasn't just looking for your normal fruit salad where you chuck in cantaloupe and bananas and honeydew and a few other things. I really did look to see what ingredients play together in a way that would make for me a magical salad. So we started with apples because apples are vitality and health. And also apples, when you cut it horizontally, it's the five-pointed star. Apples are magic inside. And that kind of sparks the start of the magic in this case for the salad. So you take your apple, you cut it horizontally, and then you can see the pentagram, the star inside of it, and then chop the pieces up together. And then I spoke from there, I went from apples as my base, so magic to start. And then we have watermelon and raspberries for our red components. Watermelon bring prosperity, health, and renewal. and raspberries bringing self-love, because we
Oh,
sometimes forget that in all the love that's out there, that we need to love ourselves, and that's the hardest part sometimes to do. So those raspberries bring in self-love. And then for orange, we have orange pieces, and I have bits of mango. So orange, the orange itself is symbolic of prosperity and sun energy, because again, this is summer salad. And the mango is self-confidence. So while we have to have self-love, we also have to have the confidence in ourselves to be able to go and keep going and do those things, because self-doubt and talking ourselves out of something is something we do all the time, both as queer
good.
people, but just in general, it's really easy to talk yourself out of doing something. So that self-confidence to know that it's going to succeed is really important. For yellow, I added pineapple, not just because it is my favorite fruit of all, and I can't have a fruit salad without it, but also pineapple brings luck.
Oh,
So it has that kind of lucky aspect to bringing in that kind of energy that we want to succeed. There's this luck, there's this aspect. Now for green, instead of doing a fruit, I decided to switch over to some herbs. So I added in basil, mint, and lime zest. So the basil brings success. The mint brings energy and vitality, and lime and the lime zest adds in protection. So all of those things tie together. So you've got protection, you've got energy, vitality, and you've got success tying in. For blue, we have blueberries, which are speaking your truth. Blueberries are about communication and speaking your truth, again, especially as queer folks, as um, femme presenting or femme identifying folks, sometimes we get shut down. And so speaking your truth and being able to say it out there with confidence and self-love, all those things tie together for blue. And then for indigo purple, we have grapes, and I did dark purple grapes. And grapes in this case are luxury. It's royalty. It's that divine right and sovereignty crowning yourself, and power, all those kinds of things that tie up. And then I did one more little thing, just because I found this amazing spice company that's small source, ethically sourced, free trade, beautiful, called Curio Spice Company. And they have a saffron sugar that I really wanted to try. So with that, I added a tiny bit of saffron, which magically property wise adds prosperity and healing, and then honey to add for a little bit of sweetness. Honey is connection to the divine. It's also prosperity and diligence. So it's the worker bee that going forward, keep moving, keep going forward, processing, doing the work. But it's also bees are a divine creature. So it's that connection to the divine all tying in.
we wouldn't
So
have these fruits without the bees.
right, exactly. You won't have anything without the bees pollinating things. And I'll put the recipe again in the link below so you can see all of it with all the steps. And then there'll be a link to the TikTok and all, you can see me putting it all together. But basically, I put it all together, and I had those saffron sugar, but you can also use regular saffron strands and soak them in water. And that works just as well. And it's with it, after all, it was with this salad, I welcome in the energy of summer. May the warmth of the sun sustain me, the magic of the fruit enrich me, and the freshness of the herbs bring me the blessings of the season. As I will it, so mote it be. And just bless the thing over there. So as you can see, it's simple and it's really easy, but it connects me back to my magic in the kitchen aspect sense. And it, I have to say, it is amazing. And I'm
It
not
sounds
just saying that. It turns out
amazing.
with the saffron adds a little bit of floral notes to the sugar and the sweetness of the honey and the natural fruits. And the herbs add that punch of freshness with the basil and the mint. And I am just really obsessed with this salad. So yeah. I can't resist. So I will definitely share that. And hopefully you guys will try it out. Again, don't look at my knife cuts, but try it out. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear.
You'll have to report back to us and tell us how you feel after eating such a vibrant spell.
Well, I've had two bowls of it already, and I'm ready to go back for more.
You're
So,
like, "I like it. Very healthy." It sounds really good. You know what I found very fascinating about that is as you're going through the colors, the fruits and the fruits meaning, the meanings that you were discussing to me also tied back to the meaning of the colors that are also connected to different energy sources in our bodies.
Hmm.
So I just saw like all of these patterns and symbolisms like lining up perfectly. And I love, have I mentioned how much I love rainbows and the rainbow? Like, it would have been devastating if I wasn't queer. And like, yeah, I just love rainbows, you know? So I just love that the rainbow is our symbol because to me there's nothing more magical and more symbolically vibrant as a rainbow, and the kind of rainbow energy centers that we interact with, and how I see the world, I guess.
Hmm.
Definitely not black and white, definitely
No.
shades of color and light and dancing and shadow, and it's all beautiful. So I just am envisioning this salad that's all an homage to the rainbow that is so beautifully imbibed.
Yes. No, thank you. It's I wish it had a little I wish there was like a vibrant green fruit in there. But because the herbs are a little bit smaller cut, but ultimately the energy of it just feels good to me.
I mean, you could always throw in a Granny Smith,
Yeah.
get some green apple and some red apple, you know?
And you can use your
So,
favorite apple by all means. I used a Honeycrisp in mine, but whatever your favorite apple type is, it's more the magic of the apple to start with. It's that setting the intention and getting it to go from there. So the apple was separate for me from the actual colors of the rainbow.
right. Okay. Just like the honey is also its own kind of special,
Yes, got
like it's yeah,
it. Exactly. It's the ties it all together. It's the
I love
binding
it.
that holds it all together.
Well, I love this information that you were providing us on kitchen witchery. I think that this was a great episode for us, and I'm excited to revisit this topic, but also cover other practices and
Yes.
other seasons, and how all of this ties into, as a witch, how we practice, and as a queer witch, how we make things our own, and as neurodivergent, which how we make accommodations for our, you know, I really appreciate all of the consideration and time that you put into all of this.
Thank you. I love it. I really am able, I'm glad I'm able to share this aspect of it, of myself and my practice. And I can't wait to tell you about more. And I can't wait to hear of all the cool things we've got coming up in future episodes. So, with that,
Thanks for listening to the Queer Witch Project. And if you enjoyed this topic, like, subscribe, leave us a comment.
and if there's a topic that you would like to know more about or an episode topic you want to suggest to us, please contact us at thequeerwitchproject@gmail.com or find us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram with the handle @queerwitchproject. We upload twice a month. And remember, queerness is a key to magic.
Be yourself and love rebelliously.
So yeah, so that's how that energy of guardian, or try that again. How that energy of gatherings